Johnson along with my partner Len Elmore, and both these teams received scares in their first round games. For the Fighting Illini, when the game got tight, Lenny, a freshman stood up.
Well, it certainly did, and when they want to play up tempo, nobody does it better than D. Brown. He had a tremendous game on Thursday, efficient in all facets, and the reason, he gets his teammates involved. There's no question about it. When they need buckets, he'll find folks, and when they need him to make a play, he's able to do it in the normal manner or in the unorthodox manner. And it's incredible that at the speed he plays, he's got an assist-turnover ratio of almost 3-to-1.
Notre Dame struggled at times versus Milwaukee. Their best player, Matt Carroll, who averages 21 points per game, injured his ankle. He ended with 2, and therefore somebody needed to step up. It turned out to be Chris Thomas.
Well, that's another dynamic and charismatic point guard and playmaker. On Thursday, he made big play after big play, and particularly down the stretch. He can take over a game with a tremendous array of moves. He dazzles the opposition, but also he had 7 turnovers. But Mike Gray understands that with the high reward he gets, he's got to take some of the high risk that comes along with Chris Thomas.
Now let's go to the third member of our team on the sideline today, Solomon Wilcox.
Just moments ago, I spoke with Notre Dame's leading scorer, Matt Carroll, about that sprained ankle, and he said that he spent the last 48 hours treating it with rest, elevation, and ice. Now, he said that there will be no problems at the offensive end. The problem will be on the defensive end when he'll have to make lateral moves on a heavily taped ankle.
All right, Solomon, so coming up, it's the Big East versus the Big Ten. Notre Dame and Illinois ready to tee it up right after this.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the Men's Basketball Championship is sponsored by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, Lipitor, Monroe, and by Pontiac.
Welcome back to the RCA Dome, Notre Dame and Illinois. From downtown Indy, Mike Gray in his 3rd year, he's led the Irish to 3 straight 20-win seasons and 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances. And a look at the lineup. Dan Miller, the Maryland transfer. Tom Timmermans will be on Cook, and Torin Francis in the backcourt. It's Matt Carroll playing with that tender ankle, and Chris Thomas, a native of Indy. Bill Self on the other sideline, also in his 3rd season. His team coming off a Big Ten tournament title. And a look at his starters. James Augustine, a 10.9 rebound game in the opener, along with Brian Cook in the middle, 17-10. Roger Powell has an injured ankle. He's in the lineup, though. Darren Williams, a freshman point guard, and D. Fast break Brown. Almost a triple-double in their first-round game. Notre Dame 23-9. Illinois 25-6 for the Fighting Irish. They're coming off that 70-69 win over Milwaukee. As you take a look at the series note, Illinois leads 27-12. Their last meeting, January 25th, 1973. And there's Matt Carroll. And we saw in the first round, Travis Diener had some shin splints and ended up with his career high of 29 points. Sometimes players who are on the court with injuries rise to the occasion.
Well, certainly in Matt Carroll's case, he's a senior. He knows this could be it. So the bottom line is his focus is certainly not on his ankle. And maybe that energy really starts to rise as far as his game is concerned.
Augustine and Francis in the circle. The tip controlled by the Fighting Illini. What should we pay attention to early in this game?
Well, I think that right now Illinois has got to make Notre Dame work on defense, move the ball. Because prior to Thursday versus Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Notre Dame had given up an average 87 points per game over their last 5. And that last 5, they were 1-4. So you make them work, move the ball, and find the openings.
Here's a high screen for Brown. Finds Augustine, the left-hander, on the baseline. And the weak side rebound goes to Carroll.
Now on the other end, Notre Dame wants to make Brian Cook work defensively. Look for them to go to Turin Francis early, especially considering the night he had Thursday.
Here's Francis, double team, splits the double team, gets down the lane and misses the layup.
Well, obviously Cook's getting help. You saw the double team from Augustine.
And Chris Thomas steps on the baseline, out of bounds. Let's take a look at the Fighting Illini and how they got to the second round. First of all, they won the Big Ten tournament title, second during the regular season, and they defeated Western Kentucky by 5. Brian Cook inside, misses. Loose ball picked up by Timmermans. Tom Timmermans asked to do a big job today. Miller off the break, hits the 3.
Another thing that Illinois has to do, Notre Dame very good in the secondary break. If they don't get a layup, they've got terrific shooters. Carroll on one side, Miller on the other. The defense goes into the paint, and these guys are pulling up at 3.
Offensive foul called on Roger Powell.
I think Roger Powell, a guy averages about 9 points a game, probably a little impatient. Had a very quiet game against Western Kentucky, only 2 points, 1 for 5. He's a very important cog in the Illinois offense, and he knows it.
And Tom Timmermans will have to guard Brian Cook, and he wants to be physical with him today.
Yeah, they want to soften Brian Cook up.
Carroll in the corner, count it. A great sign for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, after that 1 for 4 night the other night, Matt Carroll coming out stroking.
Finished with 2 points. Now D. Brown guarded by Chris Thomas. Cook inside, high-low. Augustine double-teamed, he traveled.
Again, we talked about Matt Carroll's ankle problem. That's one of the things he had to do. Play with his teammates, work harder to get open. On Thursday, he might make one move to get open. When he didn't get the ball, he would stop. That time you saw him take his man away just ever so slightly, come back into play.
Dan Miller finds Francis. Turin off the dribble on Augustine, banks it. No, gets his own rebound, and he's fouled. Notre Dame very aggressive early on.
Well, Turin Francis, we talked about him before. Just a freshman, but had a huge presence on Thursday. Played way beyond his freshman status.
Turin Francis on Thursday, 23 points, 14 rebounds. And he was 9 of 10 from the free throw line in 37 minutes. As you take a look at those numbers, a career high 23 big ones.
Sometimes the prevailing philosophy about freshmen in these types of games is they don't know any better. They're too young, too inexperienced to know what's really riding on these games. So they come out here and they're playing the games of their lives.
Roger Powell picked up his second foul at the 17:46 mark of the first half. Francis, a couple of free throws. Notre Dame takes an 8-0 lead. Luther Head in the game now. Augustine, backdoor Brown. Got to the basket and lays it up and in with the left hand.
Did you see the change of pace right there? Everybody knows how quick D. Brown is. A little stutter step got him by Chris Thomas.
D. Brown had an awesome game in their win over Western Kentucky. Baseline, that one sailing out of bounds.
Again, when you have this kind of quickness, all you got to do is change up right here. A nice job going back door. Now watch the little stutter step right there. Goodbye.
Brown, 16 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, a couple of steals, turned it over only twice in 38 minutes. Here he is straight away. Count it. Fast break. Brown off to a good start. 8-5. The Irish with the lead.
And yesterday at the press conference, Bill Self talked about the leader of this team. Certainly Brian Cook is the leader, but the bottom line is the team feeds off of D. Brown, and D. Brown's getting it started.
Dan Miller backing it up. Now Chris Thomas for 3. He answers Brown.
How many times have you seen a great point guard score on Chris Thomas and Thomas take it upon himself to answer?
Now Luther Head guarded by Miller. Irish 3 for 3 from the three-point line to start this game. Head.
Tremendous physical defense going on inside the paint. That's why Cook is stepping outside, trying to avoid the contact that Timmermans is making.
To Cook again. It's rejected, but a foul. And we had a chance to talk to some Notre Dame assistant coaches before the game, and they told us that they plan on playing Brian Cook a little differently in the post.
Well, what they want to do is they recognize that against Western Kentucky, Brian Cook was getting a lot of lobs over the front. People were fronting him, the ball was being lobbed over their heads, and he was getting easy layups. What Notre Dame wants to do is make Cook play offense with someone in front of him between Cook and the basket and see if he can get it done there.
Brian Cook got the line at 17-10 in their win over Western Kentucky. Got in foul trouble and did not finish the game, fouling out. Now Chris Thomas, the crossover runner. Oh, how about that? Chris Thomas, a native of Indianapolis, went to Pike High School, is 4-0 on this floor. Now head, great crossover. Darren Williams. D. Brown from downtown. Batted out into the hands of Timmerman. He quickly gets it to Thomas, pulls up, and rips it. Uh-oh. Chris Thomas, he's got it going early. 16-7. That's Fighting Irish.
That's when you're feeling it. You're pulling up, taking threes. You're not even caring whether or not there's anybody hitting the board. 4 for 4 from three-point range is Notre Dame.
Here's Cook. Luther head, a rising fire, and hits. (16-10).
And you can talk all you want about defensive strategy, but when guys can pull up from 22, 24 and bury jump shots, just throws your defense out the window. You don't want to go out that far to guard guys, or it creates too many opportunities to put it on the floor to the basket.
James Augustine with the rebound. Here's D. Brown in transition to the basket, lost it, turned around, and somehow Timmerman saves it.
That was the case of D. Brown going into overdrive and forgetting the ball.
Chris Thomas, the runner in traffic, and he picks up the foul. Chris Thomas pulling up off the break. Notre Dame up by 6.
On behalf of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, all you troops, you men and women overseas, we got your back. I know you got our back. We're praying for you. Come home safely.
Stay strong. We appreciate and support you 1,000%.
And both coaches articulately and passionately speak for all of us in the CBS family.
14:32 to go here in the first half, and the Irish lead the Fighting Illini 16-10. Notre Dame with 9 field goal attempts, 5 of them from the three-point line. They're 4 of 5. From the Fighting Illini, Luther Head, the young man from Chicago, running the point now. Deep Brown down the lane, the swooping hook, and he gets it to fall. 7 points for Brown. Inside Francis. Cornette from 20. Augustine clears.
Jordan Cornette hit a big shot on Thursday, a big 3. Starts out right away trying to shoot again jump shots instead of taking it to the basket.
Brian Cook across the lane. And he's showing some of those post moves that the Notre Dame squad wanted to see. That's why they've refused to front him.
Well, they know he has it. They just want to make him work at it. Cornette did a nice job of avoiding the foul and just making him shoot over. And again, the Illinois defense a little more animated right now.
Carroll missing inside. Good defense by Darren Williams. Into the front court. D. Brown to the cup. Rejected by Cornette. Outlet pass to Miller. Miller down the lane. Oh, and he gets it.
A nice job of Dan Miller again, aggressively, assertively taking it to the hole. And Brian Cook obviously trying to avoid getting into foul trouble that he got into on Thursday. Just gave him token resistance.
Dan Miller had 12 points and 6 rebounds in their win over Milwaukee.
Again, Miller coming right at Brian Cook. And look at Cook. All he wants to do is get his hand up. Doesn't even put his hand up. Stays between Miller and the basket. Makes it a more difficult shot for Dan Miller. but actually a smart play by Brian Cook. You don't want to pick up ticky-tack fouls early in the game. You let him have that one.
Fouled out after playing 32 minutes in their opening round contest. Here's Cook. Pull-up jump shot off the heel of the rim. And it's rebounded by Chris Quinn.
And that's playing right into Notre Dame's hands. They want Brian Cook, when he's in that paint, to pull up and take a jumper instead of take it to the basket.
Foul from behind, Sean Harrington in the game. Brian Cook 1 for 5 to start this one. He was the leading scorer in the Big Ten, also the player of the year in the conference, averaged 20 points per game. Quinn along with Miller, Thomas, Cornette, and Francis. Thomas moving to the two-guard position. Francis has it knocked away by Nick Smith. And you really like the way Nick Smith played in the opening round.
Yeah, I think Nick Smith did an excellent job. He really didn't shoot from the field, but he played terrific defense, just keeping those long arms up, making the inside guys shoot over him. Just became a tremendous obstacle to high percentage shots.
Luther head off the mark. Chris Thomas with the rebound. Notre Dame wants to run. Thomas to Quinn. A rise and fire. Down it.
Said it before, that's their game. Secondary break, no opportunity for layup. You got trailers just spotting up around 3. The defense likes to collect in the paint. It's hard to come out.
Notre Dame with 8 points off the break. Brian Cook from the top of the key. And Chris Quinn comes up with another rebound. Cook 1 for 6. Inside Francis. Power dribble. A drop step off the mark. Rebounded by Smith.
And there's Nick Smith again with those long arms, forcing Tyrin Francis to go further away, go wide from the basket.
Cook. Off the glass, no. 1 for 7, Brian Cook.
Well, right now, Brian Cook has got to turn and face and be able to use ball fakes and put it on the floor to get closer to the basket. Cornette's pushing him out, pushing him off the lane, and he's having difficulty getting the shot he wants.
Notre Dame 7 of 14 from the field. They've hit 5 threes, and Francis has one rim off. Here comes Luther head, raking it and taking it up the floor. Backdoor, nice play. Give and go for Sean Harrington. Not known as a player that goes to the basket an awful lot. Meanwhile, Thomas has one rim away. E. Brown quickly to the basket. No. Rebounded and stuffed back in by Cook.
Brian Cook makes a statement, and so did D. Brown with the speed.
Quinn, though, the other way, halfway down and out.
See, that's what's going to happen to Notre Dame. They'll live by the jump shot, and they'll fall by it.
Cook off the dribble this time. Now head to Cook. Nick Smith right there. Illinois.
Notre Dame's got to balance their offensive attack right now. A lot of perimeter shots. Yes, they were hot. But when Illinois goes on that run, you got to be able to answer. And the way you do it, high percentage, in a half-court set, good execution, go inside to your big people, little inside-out action if necessary.
Illinois on a 6-0 run, under 10 to play in the first half. They have been going up and down the floor. Not a lot of whistles in this one. Thomas. Miller, quick release. Count it. Dan Miller, another 3. That is the 6th 3 for Notre Dame here in the first half. On the season, they shoot 38%. They're 6 of 9.
The interesting thing about that is that Illinois limits opponents only 30% shooting from three-point range this year.
Brian Cook partially blocked by Cornette.
And all it is turnaround jump shots. Brian Cook is going to have to figure it out. Take them to the basket.
Cornette for 3. Loose ball, and it's rebounded by Francis. The Irish get a new shot clock. Miller, he doesn't waste any time. The Fighting Irish are feeling it. 7 threes, and we still have 8:35 to go in the first half. Notre Dame up by 7. Now for the singular wireless fan poll question. Which conference has the best chance to advance 2 teams to the Final Four? The ACC, Big East, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-10, or SEC. Singular wireless users send vote to 171 or log on to CBSSportsline.com/singular. Stay tuned for results during Singular at the Hat. And Dan Miller off to a tremendous start, 3 for 3 from the three-point line. He has 11 points. Notre Dame up 27-20. D. Brown to the basket. The left-hand runner won't go, but a foul.
Again, you see the premium that's placed on speed in the game of basketball. The defense is already set. And here, all it takes is one pass to get D. Brown loose, and he almost gets to the basket. He's fouled right there. Puts a lot of pressure on the defense when you have a guy as quick as D. Brown.
So D. Brown at the line. All-conference selection. He's a native of Chicago. Gets the second. 8:30 remaining in the first half. 27-21, Notre Dame.
Here's some of what you need to know about the war. In southern Iraq, U.S. Marines have advanced on Basra. They have the area under control, although they have not captured the city proper. The Pentagon confirms 4 U.S. soldiers were killed in an Iraqi ambush. 9 oil wells are on fire in southern Iraq, apparently sabotaged by retreating forces. Allied military have secured an additional 500 wells. When news breaks out, we'll break in. Dan Rather in New York.
(29-21) Notre Dame with the lead over Illinois. 8:05 to go in the first half. Fighting Irish off to a great shooting start, 10-21. They've hit 7 threes. Nick Smith, the turnaround jumper inside. And the Fighting Irish come up with the rebound. Chris Thomas, the crossover dribble. Timmermans in the corner. Quinn, catch and shoot, and hits. That is the 8th three of the first half for Notre Dame.
Well, Notre Dame doing an excellent job of inside out, drawing the defenders deep because they're putting pressure on them by getting the ball inside, and then the shooters are spotting up wide open threes. Very difficult for the defense to respond.
Augustine, the turnaround jump shot. Notre Dame with its largest lead of the game. 7:17 to go in the first half.
And with Brian Cook out of the game, Notre Dame really having its way. Illinois finding it difficult to find an answer on the offensive end.
And a foul on the rebound called on Timmermans. 32-21. Back to Indianapolis after this. The game summary, Notre Dame up by 11, but look here, 8 threes, 8 of 13. Gus Johnson along with Len Elmore. Notre Dame is an unconventional way of approaching this game.
Well, it's not so unconventional. They're doing a great job, again, of drawing the defense in by getting the ball inside, kicking out the three-point shooters. But Notre Dame averages 8 3-points made per game. So this is part of their game plan. Obviously, for Illinois, they are more reliant upon the 2, particularly going inside, but it just hasn't worked for them.
Here's Cook on the baseline, draws a bump, and Cornette picks up the foul. Follow every play from each game of the NCAA tournament in the Game Center, along with updated scoreboards at CBSSportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Roger Powell along with D. Brown, Darren Williams, Augustine, and Cook on the floor for Illinois. In white, out of the Big Ten Conference.
Notre Dame in a 2-3 zone right now, and that may be more to Illinois' liking. A couple of times move the ball, spread the defense a little bit, and get an open shooter.
Darren Williams, who's shooting the ball a lot better as the season goes on. Hitting the 3, but Notre Dame comes right back and answers. Cornette. 10-point lead for the Irish.
Jordan Cornette trying to keep up with his brother Joel, who plays for Butler, and pull that big upset against Mississippi State. He wants to keep playing.
Powell short, and it hits the shot clock out of bounds. And Powell's playing with an injured ankle. They kept him out of practice yesterday, but Down the stretch, this young man averaging 13 points per game over his last 11 at a career-high 22 versus Indiana.
There's good help right there by Augustine on Thomas behind all the picks.
Carroll thinking about it. Feeds Francis. He's got Augustine on his hip. Now Miller, the runner, no. Brian Cook fighting for the rebound, has it. A foul called on Notre Dame.
Well, Brian Cook more assertive right now. The knock on Brian Cook has always been people thought he was soft, that he's a fine finesse player, but he doesn't have that rough and tumble attitude inside. You know, there are times when he has been a little bit passive, but I don't think that's going to happen, and it hasn't happened thus far today on the defensive end. Offensively, I think he can be more assertive.
He's 2 for 10. Here's Cook backing his man down across the lane.
Get in the paint.
And it rims out. Francis with the rebound.
Didn't make that shot, but a much more assertive move going to the hole.
Here comes Thomas. Miller, another three. And hits. Dan Miller, he's got it going. 4 for 4 from the three-point line for the Maryland transfer. 37-24. Inside Augustine. Nice move to the basket.
Good job by Chris Thomas to hold up a little bit. A couple of his guys tumbled and took a fall. He waited for them to get down the court. Normally, Chris Thomas, in some instances, might take on 3 or 4 white shirts.
Another rebound for Brian Cook, his 7th. Darren Williams finds Cook the trailer. A 15-foot jump shot is pure.
Well, Williams practicing a little bit of what the Irish have been practicing. Penetration, and finds his man. Penetration of the ball forces the defense to contract to protect the goal. And when you got shooters that can spot up, if you're cognizant of them, all you got to do is kick it out and hope they make it.
Carroll from 15 feet out. And Cook starting to become a ball leader on the glass. Deep Brown rimming around and out. Carroll. And another three for Notre Dame.
And you can look at the body language. Darren Williams, when that shot was made, his shoulders hunched, his head dropped. Again, no one covering the shooters in this secondary break. And I know Bill Self has spoken about it, but Illinois just not executing defensively against the Irish when they're coming down.
10 of 15 from the three-point line. And the ball knocked away from Brian Cook. A foul on Cornette. Dan Miller has been red hot in the first half.
Miller's been a beneficiary of that secondary break right there. That's what it is. Chris Thomas gets over half court, and now the ball movement, that's just being in the zone right there. The defender was in perfect position, hand in the face, but when you're in a zone, you might hit those with your eyes closed.
Dan Miller, a senior from Mount Holly, New Jersey, started his career under Gary Williams at Maryland, and he decided that Maryland wasn't the place for him and that he'd enjoy a laid-back atmosphere playing for Mike Bray in South Bend. His toughness was questioned by some of the coaches at the Maryland program. He is successful right now. 40-30 Irish.
Will the dream die here for Duke? There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes!
Coming up on Singular at the half, Greg Gumbel and Clark Kellogg will get you updated on all the tournament news. That's all coming up on Singular at the half. 40-30. Notre Dame with the lead over Illinois, second round game. In the West from Indianapolis.
Illinois now trying to slow down that semi-fast break opportunity for the Irish has been getting them some good jump shots by applying some full court pressure.
And Chris Thomas with a textbook move, getting D. Brown up in the air. Thomas with a very nice first half, 10 points on 4 of 6 shooting.
Surprisingly, the Illinois half-court defense really hasn't stepped up to the challenge. You know, they're giving an awful lot of room to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's capitalizing.
Cook finds Brown. They go back to the fella, the drop step on the baseline. Cornette cut him off nicely, but somehow Cook banks it in.
Cook used those long arms and put some English on the ball. He used the backboard, but Cornette, a nice defensive job, forcing Cook into making very difficult shots, not allowing him to get point-blank range to the basket.
Cook has 12. He's 4 of 13. Ball tapped by Head into the hands of Augustine.
Boy, Luther Head is one of the few guys in Illinois that's really playing good defense. He's getting up on his man and forcing them to do things, obviously, that they don't want to do.
Head around the screen. Ryan Cook for 3. Out of bounds.
Now see, again, this is where you got to look at the time and score. You're a senior, Brian Cook. You understand high percentage opportunities is what you need. You're the only guy that can provide them. Don't stand down and shoot threes.
42-32. The winner here plays the winner of Arizona Gonzaga in the West. Thomas short. Now Illinois. Augustine, great position. Leans right in and banks it home over Francis. And a timeout called by Notre Dame. 1:24 to go in the first half. 42-34 Irish. Today on CBS, Survivor is on a special night, and a surprise twist is about to blow the game wide open. Don't miss an exciting all-new Survivor on a special night, Wednesday at 8/7 Central on CBS, America's most watched network. Chris Thomas again, the double clutch, got his own rebound, comes up short. Illinois with the chance to cut into that Irish lead even more. Now Augustine, jump hook. But that's what you want to see from the Fighting Illini.
Oh, absolutely. They've got a 6'10 and a 6'10 either side, bookends, who've got pretty good moves inside, high shooting percentages. You know, you got to go to your strengths right now. There's no tomorrow for these guys, and we know that. That's obvious.
Dan Miller. Holy mackerel. He took that one from South Bend. 5 for 5 for Miller. He has 17 points in the first half.
Conversely, Notre Dame doing exactly what they need to, riding their strength, and that's going to the hot hand from the perimeter.
And the ball knocked out of bounds, last touch by Illinois. Dan Miller with 17 points in the first half, 5 for 5 from the three-point line, and that gets Bill Self off the bench.
You know, defensively, I just don't get the impression that there's a sense of urgency by Illinois. Again, so much room they're giving the jump shooters. You got to make most of those guys put it on the floor. You got to make Miller, you got to make Carroll, and to a certain extent, you got to make Quinn put the ball on the floor. Chris Thomas is the only guy that you've got to worry about and back up on.
Shot clock off. Game clock at 3. Thomas down the lane, schooling the freshman. And a steal by Quinn, but that'll do it. What a half for Notre Dame. They head into the locker room with a 47-34 lead.
And this is why Chris Thomas is winning the battle of point guards. Again, just changes position and forces Dee Brown to go for the fakes, and very successful on the layup.
And Solomon Wilcox is with Mike Gray.
Coach, are you more pleased with the way your team's shooting the ball, or is the way they're playing defense down low in the paint?
I think it's been a complete first half for us. I mean, we're flowing offensively, and we're a hell of an offensive team, but we have done a good job on their big guys.
All right, thanks, Coach. Back to you, Gus.
All right, that's the end of the first half with the score 47-34 Irish. We'll send you to Greg Gumbel in New York after these messages and a word from your local station.
Exclusive coverage of the Men's Basketball Championship is sponsored by Chevy Trucks, Pepto-Bismol, the United States Army, and by Coca-Cola.
Ready to start the second half here in Indianapolis, 47-34, the Irish with the lead. And welcome back to Naptown. Gus Johnson along with Len Elmore. And Len, I mean, you couldn't ask for any more from Notre Dame.
Well, Notre Dame playing a half as well as you can possibly play. And again, from three-point range, this is one of those situations where they just have guys who are just tremendously hot, even with defenders on them. But most of the time they haven't been. And in the paint, 20 Illinois points. It could be more if they square up and go aggressively to the basket. And then on the break, we're talking about the secondary break for the most part, where there are no Illinois defenders on those perimeter shooters.
And moments ago, our Solomon Wilcox caught up with Bill Self.
Coach, your team hadn't given up 10 three-pointers in a single game all season. Notre Dame has 11 at the break. What did you tell your team at halftime?
Well, we got to guard them. We did a bad job. Let them catch the ball in the scoring area, and transition defense killed us, and they played lights out. We got to be a different team this half.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, Solomon. And Len, you talked about the secondary break. What is the secondary break?
Well, when you don't have advantages like 2-on-1, 3-on-1 to try to get layups, a secondary break means that you have guys trailing and spotting up for shots or entry passes inside. And Illinois, instinctively, they're going into the paint on the fast break, and the spot-up shooters are just there, and they're just burying it. They've got to be able to match up with those shooters and force them to put it on the floor.
Dan Miller finally missing a shot from the three-point line. Here's Brian Cook across the lane, draws a foul.
And that's what I'm talking about. Square up, more aggressive to the basket. Turn your shoulder, peek, see what the defense is giving you to make a strong move.
Timmerman's picking up his fourth foul. And he will have to leave the game.
Well, that's part of his job, though. Again, we talked about it kiddingly, but it's true. Timmermans is in there to soften up Brian Cook. Remember, you've got Jordan Cornette at 6'9", who did a pretty good defensive job when he was in the game. He's replacing Timmermans right now. So Mike Bray has got at least 10 fouls to try to stop Brian Cook.
Brian Cook at the line. First half had 10 rebounds, and he gets that one to fall. 14 points for Cook. 6 of 6 from the line. 47-36. Now they put Darren Williams on Chris Thomas. And D. Brown is following Matt Carroll. Carroll with the shot, and it's off the side of the rim. Francis with the rebound to the basket, blocked by Augustine, out of bounds. You can follow each game of the NCAA tournament on the internet. For more information on how you can watch March Madness from your computer, just go to ncaasports.com.
Illinois has come out here playing defense with a purpose right now. All the adjustments we spoke of that you heard Bill Self mention, they're executing.
Let's see if they can keep it up for 20 minutes. Cook again across the lane, and a whistle and foul. Now I see what you're talking about. If Cook is aggressive when he catches that ball on the box, he may be able to foul out Cornette and Timmermans.
Well, he's quick, and if he uses that quickness to his benefit, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt in blocks. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt with Miller trying to take the charge.
Cornette picks up his second.
Anytime you make aggressive moves, if you continue to do that, develop a trend, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt from the official.
Brian Cook getting the second one, 47-37. Cook getting his points from the free throw line. Now Thomas to Francis. Thomas ejected by Williams. Nicely done by the freshman. Inside Cook. He traveled.
Well, that's okay. If you're Brian Cook, you can't complain about it. You just have to keep going at it. On the other side, though, I think Notre Dame now, they seem to be maybe satisfied with that first half. They're not pushing the ball. They're not moving with the life, with the bounce in their step that they did in the first half.
Miller hard around the corner, knocked away, taken away by Williams.
That's why you make them put it on the floor.
Now Williams steps back. Thomas pulls up off the break. Won't go for him.
I mentioned in the first half, Notre Dame has a tendency to rise on the three-pointers, but also they fall on them. And when they grow cold, rather than move away from it and try something else, they continue to go after the three-pointers, and that gives you an opening to get back in the ball game.
Roger Powell working hard inside, gets the offensive rebound. His first basket of the game. And here come the Fighting Illini. 47-39.
I'm thirsty. You want something?
The Microsoft agile move of the game. Chris Thomas at the end of the first half going by D. Brown.
Well, you're not seeing much shoot, shake, and bake in that situation as you did in the first half. There's not a lot in this half.
Thomas with 12 points and 4 assists. 5 of 12, but Notre Dame 0 for 3 from the three-point line to start the second half.
A major adjustment that was made by Bill Self was putting Darren Williams on Chris Thomas and D. Brown on Matt Carroll, trying to slow up some of the three-point shooters. Carroll not really that effective in the first half. 2 of 6 and 2 for 4 from three-point range. But Darren Williams on Chris Thomas has forced Thomas to kind of play a little more conservatively, particularly because of Williams' size.
Williams 6'3", freshman from the Colony, Texas. There's Thomas 6'1". And Williams has some long arms. Now Miller off the dribble, pulls up, counting. And Miller playing with so much confidence today. 19 points. Making Gary Williams wish that he had him this year.
Although Gary Williams got a pretty big shot last night against North Carolina Wilmington.
Cook steps out and hits. Ryan Cook, so versatile. 49-41. Don't forget, the winner of this game plays the winner of Arizona Gonzaga in Anaheim. And a whistle away from the ball, D. Brown. Called for the foul. Matt Carroll going back door. Doesn't look like that ankle is bothering Carroll as much as anticipated.
Well, no, he seems to be cutting well, seems to be planting. And D. Brown's got to stop worrying about Carroll's size and just use his quickness, play defense with his feet to beat him to the spots.
Thomas pulls out, resets it. Thomas forces one up.
And that's Williams' size that's bothering Thomas right now. Darren Williams at 6'3", presenting an obstacle for Chris Thomas.
Williams tracks it down. 16:04 to go in the second half. Darren. Now Augustine, good position. Jump hook. Cornette blocked him out and hauled it in. Illinois, 15 of 39 from the field. Notre Dame, 18 of 42.
There's an aggressive show right there by Cook. A nice job. You got to step out on shooters. Make them give it up.
Francis quiet. Miller again for 3. Francis with the offensive rebound. Takes it to the cup. Francis across the lane, stripped by Cook. Powell for 3. Roger Powell struggling in his last couple of games, had 2 points in the first round and only has 2 today.
Look at Notre Dame shooting way down again because of the aggressive Illinois defense and because Notre Dame has chosen to slow the pace. Rather than play at the same quickness and the same speed as the first half, they've gotten very deliberate.
And Francis and 1. Augustine. Called for the foul.
And deliberate is okay if you're going to wind up with shots like this. 2 feet in the paint right in front of the rim and able to take his man to the basket. But again, Notre Dame would be better served to quicken their pace a little bit, then find some folks wide open. But Torin Francis, we talked about him being a freshman. His presence belies that. He's much more mature than most.
First field goal of the day for Torin Francis. And with 14:31 to go in the second half, Notre Dame up 52-41. Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each team. Today, Chevrolet has contributed more than $8 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. A lot of Irish fans in attendance. Coming up from South Bend, 52-41, Notre Dame.
I thought those guys were from your neighborhood in Detroit coming to visit you.
Here's Augustine, along with Williams, Cook, Head. Ryan Cook on the baseline. The 8-footer is good.
And see what the close-in shots that Cook took early, the high percentage shots, what that's done is gotten him into rhythm. Now all facets of his game are working. Perimeter, 15-footers, the mid-range, as well as down deep.
Matt Carroll quiet offensively, only 6. 2 in the first game. Down the lane, Cornette, extra pass, great ball fake, rejected by Cook, and he hauls it in. Outlet pass to Brown, ahead of the field, and he's fouled. Brian Cook started the break. What a job by the senior.
Well, just a terrific sequence right there. Torin Francis believes he's home free. Cook comes over on the weak side, and here's the break opportunity for Illinois, few and far between. And D. Brown, a nice job of getting head and shoulders past the bigger Matt Carroll.
And the first one running off for D. Brown is a 67% free throw shooter. Chris Quinn checks into the game for Matt Carroll. Second one good. Sean Harrington checks in, and D. Brown heads to the bench. 52-44, Notre Dame.
But that substitution is primarily to give D. Brown a breather. Bill Self wants to keep up that quick tempo in transition, particularly off the board. Sean Harrington obviously not nearly as quick, but nevertheless, defensively, he's going to get in there, he's going to dig in, because that's where it comes down to. Illinois got to make stops.
The Irish have led by as many as 13. Aaron Williams getting a hand on it, redirecting the ball out of bounds. Thomas, shake and bake. In traffic. Chris Thomas, so great with the handle, 14 points.
And on that move, it showed he's adjusting now to the taller Darren Williams on him.
Williams, he frees himself short. Miller with the two-handed rebound.
If I'm Illinois on the offensive end, I got to get Brian Cook a touch. He doesn't have to shoot it, but give him a touch. Notre Dame's cognizant of how strong he is inside. They're going to help and create openings for other Illini players.
Knocked away and stolen by Darren Williams. Here comes a freshman in the corner. Harrington steps back. Ball just not going down for Illinois today. Miller the other way. It's been going down for Dan Miller. A beautiful finger roll. What a game. Dan Miller, 8 of 10 from the field, 21 points.
And you can tell he's playing confidently, putting it on the floor, going hard to the basket in the open floor. And that's what gets D. Brown up off the bench now.
Illinois in trouble. Cook can't lay it down. The Irish have had all the answers today. Thomas again, the runner. Williams. Finds Cook to the basket. Can't lay it in.
That's got to be a dunk. Ryan Cook has got to get himself set, play the power game.
Illinois on the season shoots 48% from the field. Today they're 35%, 16 of 45. Officials letting them play. Dan Miller wheeling, leaning. Oh, and hitting. Dan Miller. It's a clinic.
Oh, this is Dan Miller's day, no question about it.
Can we say it is Miller time? 58-44. You know, there's another Miller that plays in Indianapolis that's a pretty good shooter. Well, this Dan Miller is doing a good job today.
Well, that other Miller couldn't be any hotter than Dan Miller and any more confident. Dan Miller doing a lot of things, obviously shooting from the perimeter, but his ability to put it on the floor has made him a dangerous offensive player today. And again, you talk about confidence. Everything he throws up either swishes or it touches every part of the rim and still goes in.
Biggest lead of the game for the Fighting Irish. Harrington for three and hits.
Nice call out of the huddle by Bill Self to get his team back on the right track. But we've mentioned it time and time again. Illinois has to play defense, has to string together stops in order to cut into this lead.
Chris Thomas. That one grazed the front of the rim. Here comes D. Brown. Notre Dame getting back on defense nicely. Head to the bucket. Up and in.
See, Luther Head is a terrific athlete. He's been slowed by pelvic problems. But when he's right, he can put it on the floor. He's got tremendous elevation, can shoot the three as well. Get him going, you've got another threat.
58-49, timeout Notre Dame. If you think you've seen shock and awe, you haven't. There's a lot more to it, and the men who designed it are on CBS News special America at War tonight following the game. Luther Head with some nice dribble penetration, 58-49. Notre Dame under 10 to go. Carroll, count it. Matt Carroll ripping one from the corner.
And that's what makes Notre Dame so tough. When you put a guy on Dan Miller and you slow him down as he's having almost a career day, you got another guy on the other side in Matt Carroll who appears to be lighting up.
That was the first three-pointer for Notre Dame this half. Harrington trying to answer, gets his own rebound in the corner. Now D. Brown down the lane, and he gets the left-handed finger roll to go. And Notre Dame turns it over. Coming up the floor. 10-point lead for the Fighting Irish. Back to Indy after this.
The war could be the toughest day of the war so far for advancing U.S.-led ground forces. CBS's David Martin says they're getting within range of elite Iraqi Republican Guard units defending Baghdad's southern approaches. They are Saddam's best armed and best trained fighters. New casualties: 4 U.S. Army soldiers confirmed killed in a central Iraq ambush. 2 British helicopters collided, killing a U.S. Navy officer and 6 British crewmen. Allied troops are now reported in control of the Basra area, but apparently have not entered Iraq's second largest city. Here's a report from nearby.
This is Scott Pelley with Fox Company U.S. Marines outside the town of Qasr in Iraq, where hundreds of prisoners have been taken over the last 24 hours, including one Iraqi Army colonel who is providing significant information on enemy forces.
More selective attacks on Baghdad today and tonight, but not on the scale of yesterday. Heavy aerial assaults elsewhere, and several oil wells are in flames in southern Iraq. But the U.S. military says its special forces and other operations saved 500 others from sabotage. Dan Rather, CBS News. When news on the war breaks out, we'll break in.
(61-51). Notre Dame leads Illinois here in the second half. D. Brown straight to the basket, draws the foul. But Notre Dame came out early in this game and established themselves from behind the three-point line. They're 12 of 23 on the day.
Well, three-pointers certainly have been the story of this game, and Notre Dame's been able to get them out of their half court and in the secondary break where Illinois decides to drop back and allow the shooters to spot up. And you just can't do that with a team like Notre Dame. They shoot 38% on the year from three-point range, and they've got some guys that are absolutely dangerous. Those are the three guys that'll hurt you if you give them any room behind that arc.
Illinois, though, continues to fight. Dee Brown misses his second free throw, 1 of 2. A lot of time remaining for the Fighting Illini. And they turn it over. Here comes Brown. Straight to the cup. Misses. Tipped up by Cook. No. Frustrating day for the Fighting Illini.
Boy, and if you're Dee Brown, you do so much to get there, and to miss the layup, it's got to be frustrating.
Luther Head knocks it out of bounds, and will head the other way.
You know, sometimes you talk about speed and how valuable it is out there, but there's equal value in being able to control that speed, and that's the second time Dee Brown has come down full tilt, yet missed the layup because the layup was too strong.
Use the right hand on the left side. Notre Dame doing a good job contesting that shot on Dee Brown. Backdoor Luther Head, bumped, knocked away by Cornette into the hands of Turin Francis.
And Bill Self has got an argument on that one. Luther Head just got bumped out of there. It should have been a foul call.
Officials letting them play. They have done a terrific job this afternoon. Thomas Miller, he's had the hot hand for Notre Dame. Thomas thinking about it. Backs it up with 6 to shoot. Splits the defense, rises. And it's rebounded by Head. Luther Head out of bounds, and the Illini turn it over. Back after this. Game summary, three-point shooting and fast break points for Notre Dame. 13 fast break points for the Fighting Irish. Gus Johnson, Len Elmore, and different pace in this game here in the second half.
Well, certainly Notre Dame came out a little more deliberate, probably trying to read the Illinois defense and Illinois defensive intensity and try to use it to their advantage. And Illinois has stepped up the defense, but now on the offensive end, they can't seem to put down easy shots. They've missed a number of layups and a number of shots right dead in the paint. So, you know, Illinois has got to get both things working at the same time if they have any hope of cutting into this Irish lead.
Notre Dame throws it away, their 9th turnover. Remember, in their first round matchup, they turned it over 20 times against Milwaukee. But Milwaukee pressed them 94 feet the entire game. Harrington in the corner. Here's the high screen for Dee Brown, a 3 off the mark.
Not a very good offensive sequence right there for Illinois. You spend all that time working for a shot, and the one that you get is 5 feet beyond the three-point arc. That's not successful offense.
Illinois 4 of 14 from the three-point line. Thomas off the dribble, the kick. Carroll steps back and picks it up. Francis just turns loose. Harrington with the rebound, leads the break. Didn't see Cook right on his hip on the right side. Luther Head. Augustine in the pivot. Blocked by Francis. Turin Francis with a beautiful defensive play.
Well, Turin Francis hasn't been as active offensively as he was Thursday, but he's still getting it done, making major contributions on the boards with 12, and that was his first block.
Carroll creating space, lowers his shoulder, almost throws it away. Francis there, and a whistle. Timeout called by Notre Dame. 5:09 to go in the second. 61-52. Take a look at the tournament summary. The Big Ten perfect at 5-0. The Big East also rolling, but something has to give right now. Mike Gray calling a timeout with 9 on the shot clock.
Well, he did, because it's a very important basket. A basket here gets them back to double digits, and that psychologically really places a burden on Illinois. So a terrific timeout by Mike Gray, and obviously he goes to his man, the dynamic one, Chris Thomas.
17 points for Thomas. 64-52, and an offensive foul called down low. I believe it's Brian Cook. And he has some words for the official.
Here's the play down low. Again, playing tough. Brian Cook trying, and you know what? You got to let him play. If you're letting everybody else play, you got to let Brian Cook play. That was just basic big men play down in the post. Neither one of them complained.
First foul for Cook. Thomas along with Miller, Francis, Quinn, and Carroll. Backdoor Francis just couldn't hold on.
And we talk about Terrin Francis as a freshman. Sooner or later, he and Chris Thomas will connect on that type of play. That was just a nice angle by Thomas and a nice find. The big fella couldn't handle a bounce pass. That's the most difficult pass for big guys to handle. And you little guys persist in throwing it.
Gotta bend your knees a little bit. Here's backdoor Brown. Nicely done.
See, when the big guys throw the bounce pass, the little guys can catch him.
D. Brown, a quarterback in high school, and he was recruited by a number of Division I colleges to play wide receiver. No surprise, the little man can move. Thomas off the mark, rebounded by Cook. A long outlet pass to Harrington in transition. Let's see if they go to Brian Cook here. We'll get a high percentage shot. Here's Cook. Drop step underneath. Missed it. Augustine there, and he's fouled.
Well, that's called watching your teammates back. Augustine with a nice job of following up on the Cook miss. He just didn't stand on the opposite side of the rim. Rather than standing on that opposite side, he moved his feet.
Cornette picked up his 4th foul. The numbers on James Augustine. He's a 70% free throw shooter. This week, catch the Emmy Award-winning Late Show with David Letterman. The biggest stars, the biggest laughs, and the biggest events are all on Dave. The Late Show with David Letterman right here on CBS, America's most watched network. And we're playing in his hometown. They're playing in his hometown, Indianapolis. Augustine misses the second, but D. Brown comes up with it. Great opportunity for the Fighting Illini. Here's Cook. Poked away. Nicely done by Miller. .324 to go. Miller with the jab step. Down the lane. Tipped out of bounds. Will head the other way. 3:08 remaining. Irish by 10. Let's take a look at the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. 3-point shooting. Notre Dame 13 of 24.
Well, Notre Dame has been taking those shots because that's what the defense has given them, particularly in the first half. And they've had some guys who've been on fire, but most prominently Dan Miller.
Illinois with 3 timeouts left. Notre Dame with 1. And the Fighting Irish lead by 9. Pardon me, going to break, I said it was 10. 64-55. Here's Cook. Turnaround jump shot. Won't go. Francis doing a good job of pushing Cook out of the lane and making him feel uncomfortable. It just doesn't look, Len, like he gets that shot off with any comfort.
Well, that's the purpose, to make him shoot with a guy between him and the basket to see if he's willing to square up, put it on the floor, and make progress to the basket. Obviously, he's not shooting 6 for 22 tonight.
Here's Miller. Backs it up. He's been the man for Notre Dame. He continues to go right. Now he goes down the lane with the left hand. Misses the runner. Cook snatches it down.
I was wondering if someone was going to figure out. Dan Miller puts the ball on the floor with his right hand. He's all the way.
Harrington for three. 64-58. Timeout. Illinois.
Cars with worn shocks can take 10 feet farther to stop. Next time you're in for tires or brakes, have your shocks checked as part of a Monroe Safety Triangle inspection. Monroe. Ride safe.
Sunday on 60 Minutes, Americans in uniform as soldiers? No, as cops. Getting ready to do battle with terrorists. Sunday on 60 Minutes. Gus Johnson, Len Elmore with you from the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana, where the Fighting Irish lead at 64-58. They've led by as many as 13 points. But the Fighting Illini continue to fight. Now they use a three-quarter court trap. Quinn gets it over the lane to Carroll, who lays it up and in.
Boy, that's disheartening. You're Illinois. You apply full court pressure. The Irish just get it over the line, and then they move the ball for a layup. That press was designed to stop that flow, stop that tempo, create some turnovers, and it turns into a layup for Notre Dame.
Now Cook draws a double team, finds D. Brown inside, the floater off the heel, tapped up and in by Darren Williams. Illinois playing with a sense of urgency now. Irish by 6.
Yeah, but this type of intensity is the type you have to display from the opening tip.
Matt Carroll passing it off.
And it's quite a difference between the defense now and the way it was played in the first half by Illinois. Much more passive, as you mentioned. Now they see the end is near.
Thomas, the crossover. Miller fades away. No. Loose ball. Thomas with the rebound, but a foul. Foul called on Notre Dame with 55.7 to go.
There's one of those calls that could have gone either way. Both guys battling for the ball.
And today is a big day for Mike Gray, not just because his team is looking to get into the Sweet 16, but he's 44 today. And his team trying to give him a huge birthday present.
And as much as Mike would like to forget it, he's forgetting it during this game. That's the furthest thing from his mind. But Mike Gray has been a tremendous coach for Notre Dame, stepping into this program and keeping it at the levels where it was left by Matt Doherty.
Harrington spinning. Williams fires and air ball.
Well, that was a good defensive job by Chris Thomas, getting in Williams' face.
And D. Brown is called for the foul. Notre Dame. They can feel it now. Anaheim, California. The next stop. They will take on, if they're able to hold on, the winner of the Gonzaga-Arizona game.
Illinois wasn't in the penalty, so therefore they got to inbounds it again, and they've got to make a situation here where they got to foul if they can't get that first steal, but they got it.
Thomas turns it over to Brown, and he misses the layup. Again, like that all afternoon for D. Brown.
Too fast. Out of control. You got to be able to harness that speed. I guess the best story about that for D. Brown is that he's got a chance to go at it again next year. Unfortunately for Brian Cook, it's all over.
27.1 remaining. Quinn goes to the line. D. Brown 5 of 14 from the field tonight, or today. Ryan Cook 6 of 22 as Quinn sinks the first.
Neither one of them obviously playing the games that they're capable of playing, that they've played on a consistent basis. You give Notre Dame's defense some credit, particularly against Brian Cook, again, for rather than fronting him and allowing him to get lobbed, standing in front of him, making him put it on the floor, see if he's aggressive. But for D. Brown, he's had the opportunities. He's just been a little too quick for himself. Missed some easy layups, and some of that may come with the anxiety level that you play with in these types of games, and particularly as a freshman.
Here's Cook in the corner. Illinois. Cook pulls up, misses the three. Cornette with the rebound. Knocked out of bounds. Don't forget, the game's coming up next on CBS. Connecticut and Stanford. Missouri and Marquette. 13.1 remaining. Notre Dame by 8.
And if you're Notre Dame, obviously you are elated, but more importantly, if you're Mike Brey, maybe you've shaken the problems that you had on the defensive end, and you got by Wisconsin, Milwaukee, played a tremendous game for Illinois. The sky is clear. It's blue. Nowhere to go but up for Notre Dame.
The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame upset Illinois 68-60, and they are headed for Anaheim, California, and the Sweet 16. So the bracket in the West, Notre Dame awaiting the winner of Arizona, Gonzaga. And our Chevrolet most valuable players of the game, Dan Miller. He guided this Notre Dame team with his perimeter shooting, 5 for 7 from the three-point line. And Brian Cook, a double-double, 19 points, 16 rebounds. Notre Dame survives and advances. We'll send you to Greg Gumbel in New York right after this.
The University of Illinois. I'm so anxious to get to this game because this is the team out of the Big Ten, Clark, that everyone figured was going to go the furthest, and it's the first one knocked
Well, they
off.
certainly had the potential to do that, but Notre Dame did a terrific job, Greg, of playing behind the bigger post players for Illinois, making Brian Cook and James Augustine shoot over the top, and then they jumped out to the quick lead with their strong perimeter shooting and rode that momentum wire to wire to the win. Illinois never led in this game.
So Notre Dame improves to 24-9 on the year. Illinois finishes at 25-7. A very special day for the Fighting Irish and their head coach, Mike Brey. Let's go back to Indianapolis. Solomon Wilcots is with the Irish coach.
Coach, you led this game wire to wire. This your 44th birthday. Could you have asked for a better present than to be moving on to the Sweet 16?
I'll always remember my 44th birthday. We played great today. We were very ready right out of the gate, and we held off a good Illinois team that made a run.
They made some good adjustment defensively, but the one constant for you today was really the hot hand of Dan Miller.
Dan Miller was fabulous. One of the reasons we invested in Dan, he's played in about 11 NCAA tournament games. He's been to this territory before, but our defense won the game.
What can you say about the gutsy performance of Matt Carroll coming in on that injured ankle?
Fabulous. Yesterday, he could barely walk, but he's the toughest guy on our team. I'm very proud of him.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
Solomon, thank you very much. You know, one of the things about the Fighting Illini, they had won 9 of their last 10 games coming in. Notre Dame doesn't care. They go to the Sweet 16 for the first time since, what was that, 1987.
Yeah, a long time ago. And credit their defense. You heard Mike Brey talk about the job they did defensively, the hot shooting in the first half, but they were ready. And look back to the middle of the season when they knocked off in 1 week. They knocked off 3 top 10 teams. They beat Maryland and Texas in a 3-day span. So this team clearly felt like they had a chance to do what they did today.
Well, the more this team advances, the more opportunity people get a chance to watch one of the exciting players in the country, and Chris Thomas of Notre Dame. He's standing by out in Indianapolis with Solomon Wilcots.
A native of Indianapolis, Chris Thomas, you're now 5-0 here at the RCA Dome. How were you guys able to take control of this game where you led wire to wire?
Well, I mean, we came out very early and, jumped on them quick. We hit threes. Danny Miller, he was incredible in the first half and throughout the whole game. But the big thing for us was we played defense and we rebounded basketball.
What kind of adjustments did you have to make? They put a much bigger Darren Williams on you, and you made some adjustments. What were you able to do?
No, I was just able to slow down the tempo and use the clock to our favor. And, we did a great job controlling the tempo. We knew they were going to make a run in the second half, but gladly enough for us, we countered that.
Is this the perfect birthday gift you wanted to give your coach on his 44th birthday?
It's definitely a great birthday gift, and, we get to go to California next week, so we're very happy about that.
Chris Thomas, thank you.
Thanks, Solomon.
17 points for Chris Thomas. The Irish beat Illinois by a score of 68-60. Speaking of star players, Dwayne Wade and Marquette. You'll meet him next as we continue in just a moment. Coming up in our next set of games, number 5 UConn takes on Stanford, the 4th seed in the South, while Missouri, number 6 in the Midwest bracket, will challenge 3rd seed Marquette. As the Golden Eagles' leading scorer and 2nd leading rebounder, junior guard Dwayne Wade means just about everything to his team. And there's one special Marquette fan by the name of Zaire who means the world to him.
You can't grab the camera, man. When I'm home, I got to be a leader in the house. He ain't camera shy at all. When I'm in the gym, I'm concentrating on what I got to do to be a leader for my team. I feel like I'm a leader of a lot of things, and, you know, I take pride in it. I take a lot of pride in being a good father, a good husband, and a good leader for my team. We went to the same grade school, and, you know, we was just friends. Once he got taller, I looked at him not just as a friend anymore. I knew then he was a great guy. It's crazy that when you grow up, you didn't think that was the person you was going to be with, but it was meant to happen. It was just that instant bond.
All my life I've been searching for something, nothing satisfies, but I'm getting closer to the prize at the end of the road.
It's been a lot of fun watching him grow all 3 years here. He came in a young man that had a lot of talent that none of us understood exactly how talented he was, probably most importantly him. He's got a great ability to show empathy for others. He wants his teammates to be successful. He can score, he can rebound, he can defend, he can pass, he's got leadership. But first and foremost, his unselfishness as a person, as a player, sets him apart.
I love it. I love the game. I love to watch him play. We get our matching jerseys on, me and the baby. We have like the Marquette jerseys with Dwayne's number on it, and my son's got the snap pants that they wear in warm-ups. And right now he doesn't know what's going on, but someday he'll be really proud of him, I know.
My wife and my son be at the games cheering, and everybody's excited, but I get a lot of motivation knowing that when he grows up, he's gonna know, you know, or see the things that I did. And so I'm trying to do everything right.
I read in a book once that marriage was 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration, and it's probably the realest thing I've ever heard. But it's worth it. I have my best friend, and we'll be together forever, so that's wonderful.
If Dwayne was half that nice to the opposition would be a lot better off. What about this game?
Well, this is a very evenly matched game, Greg. When you look at it, Dwayne Wade is a stat sheet stuffer. He does everything, but Ricky Paulding is the same for Missouri. This one is too hard to call.
All right, Clark, another one that may be too hard to call. We're creeping up on tip time out in Spokane, Washington. The UConn Huskies are getting set to take on the Cardinal of Stanford. Stand by. It's coming up not too long from now here on CBS. We'll be back right after this.
It's exclusive coverage of the Men's Basketball Championship is sponsored by Chevy Trucks, Sprite, Michelin, and by Intel Centrino Mobile Technology.
We are coming up on tip time right around the corner in Spokane, Washington. Second round action. University of Connecticut Huskies, the number 5 seed in the South against 4th seed Stanford. We will send everyone to that game, and those of you who are looking ahead to the second game in Indianapolis, Missouri and Marquette, we will get you to the tip of your game at 3:32 Eastern Time. Meanwhile, everyone off to Spokane, and it comes your way after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the men's NCAA championship. The road to the Final Four brings you to the Inland Empire of Spokane, Washington. Round 2, Big East meets Pac-10. The 5th seed Connecticut Huskies against the Stanford Cardinal. Take a look at the brackets. These two teams advanced, beating BYU and San Diego. And remember the Alamo is what they want to be chanting come tonight. They'll go to San Diego, the winner. Hello, everyone. Tim Brando, Bob Wenzel by my side. And you know, there are 31 teams remaining in this tournament, Bob. And of those teams, I don't know if any of them have an impact player quite like Emeka Okafor.
Certainly not at the defensive end. Okafor, the nation's leading shot blocker. The reason he is so good at it, obviously long and he can jump. He waits for the offensive man to leave the floor before he goes up. But he's not only good on defense, he is very strong offensively, averaging 15.5 points a game. And on the other side, Josh Childress, 6'8". Josh gives, and his teammates love that about him. Also, when he receives, he takes care of business. He can shoot the ball from the perimeter at 6'8", long-armed. He is also the second leading rebounder in the Pac-10.
He plays for one of the most influential coaches in the game, Mike Montgomery. In 1998, he went dancing in San Antonio to the Final Four that year and took Kentucky into overtime in the semifinal round. And here are the matchups for today's game. And Ben Gordon, Matt Loddick is one you're going to keep a watchful eye on.
Ben Gordon, almost 20 a game. He's important. Matt Loddick hit a 3 with 49 seconds to go to save Stanford against San Diego on Thursday.
And the venerable Jim Calhoun claimed the brass ring in 1999, beating Duke and Tampa. And with more on what has been a difficult year off of the floor for Coach Calhoun is the third member of our broadcast team, Leslie Maxey.
Tim, it was a difficult year indeed. On February 6th, Coach Calhoun had prostate cancer surgery, and he had a checkup before he came to Spokane and was cancer-free. He came back 2 weeks after the surgery, and apparently his actual comeback date was this coming Monday. His wife said she was tired of him yelling at the team at the TV screen, so she sent him back to work early. One tough cookie. Back to you, Tim.
All right, he certainly is, Leslie. Jim Calhoun, I think's inner circle has grown, too, since we knew he was an enjoyable fellow to be around. Now he's letting other people know.
Well, I think when you go through what he's been through, it changes your perspective some.
The officials, Ted Valentine, Tom O'Neill, and Eddie Jackson. We're underway.
Stanford is a team traditionally that is a power inside team, but this year not as powerful as they have been. They want to take care of the basketball, but they will shoot from three-point shot. Connecticut really wants to put pressure on people. Two up and down game.
A pull up, not there. Out of bounds, it belongs to Connecticut.
We should mention we met with several of these players yesterday, Childress among them, and delightful young men on both sides. Okafor and Gordon for Connecticut as well. Little and Julius Barnes, the kind of guys you'd like to have.
Denham Brown. Boy, he's had an excellent tournament.
Scored 7 points at the start of the second half in a game where Connecticut struggled against BYU offensively. Only shot 32% and won anyway.
And talking to the players from Stanford, Childress quickly pointed out there's Rob Little on the offensive boards to tie the game at 2. But Childress pointed out quickly, isn't that the guy that got 111 one game in Canada?
That's right, exactly.
And then Julius Barnes pointed out, yeah, but that was Canada. Gordon hits the 3, and it's 5-2.
Good start for Connecticut from the standpoint they were really struggling from the field against BYU. Fast-paced game to their liking.
There's the dump down to Little. Jump hook on the baseline with a little touch.
Well, Rob said that he was not going to be intimidated by the shot blocking of Okafor. Little is a wide body.
Emeka, not this time. Good position for Justin Davis, and Hilton Armstrong picks up the foul. The freshman from Peekskill, New York, does start but does not play starters minutes.
Well, Mike Montgomery, Pac-10 success for many, many years at Stanford. Before that, successful at Montana as well.
Davis, little ball fake, gets Armstrong in the air. And Hilton picks up his second. Just that quickly, Marcus White prepares to check in.
Well, Hilton Armstrong starts, and he's really a good passer, but not a physical kind of player yet. 6'10", not very wide, and Stanford does have physical inside players. Justin Davis.
the Cardinal from Palo Alto. You think of an outstanding all-around academic and athletic program, they've got it. At-large entry out of the Pac-10, their 12th NCAA tournament appearance.
32,000 students. That's a lot of smart people in one place.
You start talking about claiming trophies for all-around sports championships, the swimming team, the golf team, the tennis team, the baseball team. They've got it all.
They had Tiger Woods, too.
They sure did. Gordon with a lead.
Good news. He had 14 points, but the guards, Talik Brown 0 for 7 and Robertson 0 for 4 against BYU. Jim Calhoun wants Gordon to be more selfish at the offensive end.
As a total group, the three guards were 4 out of 23 the other day. They need to improve upon that.
Oh, that is weak. However, this guy, Talik, ignites the break, and that's his role on this squad. Both teams preferring man-to-man. Good help side right there by Little.
White in traffic. Stays with it on the offensive boards. Back up again and foul. And that's really what Connecticut is all about. And Stanford talked to us yesterday. Mike Montgomery said, we've got to match their toughness.
Marcus White has more rebounds than he does points this year. He just threw that one off the board so he could go get it, pad his stats a little bit. The freshman from Chicago, very aggressive on the offensive boards. Also not bad from the free throw line where White almost 70% from the field.
And a reminder for those of you expecting the tip of Missouri and Marquette, we'll get you there. White converting at the free throw line, and it's a 9-6 Connecticut lead. Well, Davis picked up that foul. He was in foul trouble against San Diego, and that's something that Mike Montgomery was concerned with. At times, Davis can get out of his game when he picks up early fouls. Childers on the wing.
Mr. Versatility for Stanford. Look at the long arms of Childress as he guards Denham Brown.
Gordon the jump stop. Rebound pulled down by Lotta.
4 white shirts blocking out. Fundamental basketball on the part of the Cardinal.
From deep. He's open on Saturday in Spokane. Julius Barnes has now been a starter in 57 straight games, appearing in 119 as of today.
The only Cardinal on the all Pac-10 team.
Nice scoop to the hoop and then using the sweet hook. Denham Brown.
Despite great tradition, Connecticut a very young team this year. Okafor and Gordon, their signature players, only sophomores.
Okafor swatting away an alley-oop attempt. Talik Brown, end-to-end.
And end-to-end is the right way to describe Talik Brown's role on this team. He is the engine of their fast break.
That's his first bucket in Spokane. He was 0 for 7 from the floor, as you mentioned, in round 1. Out of bounds. Off of Davis. The Huskies will have it when we return. Sometimes the iron is kind, and at other times, a quality dent in the backboard.
Greg Gumbel in New York, about 15.5 to play in the first half. UConn with a 1-point lead on Stanford. We'll keep you updated on that, but you folks are expected in Indianapolis for game 2 of the day in the RCA Dome. Missouri and Marquette. Let's take you there live. Gus Johnson and Len Elmore.
All right, Greg, we're ready for the 6th-seeded Missouri Tigers and the 3rd-seeded Marquette Golden Eagles. Second game of the day. We shift to the Midwest. And the winner of this game takes on the winner of Indiana, Pittsburgh in Minneapolis. Hi, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson along with my partner, Len Elmore. Both these teams received scares in their first-round matchups. For Missouri, they won 72-71 over Southern Illinois. They struggled turning the ball over, but when they needed a big basket, they went to the big man.
Well, they used some inside muscle, and that muscle was personified by Big Arthur Johnson. He was the power behind the inside game. Quick moves, quick feet, complemented his size in the paint. And he was the guy that they went to when they needed a basket, and he delivered.
Marquette defeated Holy Cross 72-68. Their All-America player, Dwayne Wade, struggled in the first half, finished with 15, but Travis Diener, shin splints and all, a career-high 29.
Well, we talk about it time and time again. Extraordinary circumstances bring out extraordinary performances. Travis Diener in a tight game, time after time, found a way to get open, and his teammates found him. He was just shooting the ball in the ocean and couldn't miss.
Now let's go to the third member of our team on the sideline, Solomon Wilcox.
Well, guys, Ken Snyder told me that his team was very nervous in that first-round game when they committed 23 turnovers. So he had an idea in his pregame speech to loosen his